There's diabetes, sugar diabetes, and then you have what? Your water diabetes. Okay? Under your water diabetes, it's going to be called diabetes insipidus. Your diabetes insipidus. And then you have your traditional diabetes that everyone is familiar with, which is your what? Sugar diabetes. And let me see if any of you guys are sharp. What's the name for the sugar side? Diabetes what? Let me hear that. You're close. You're on the right track, but let me hear the pronunciation. Come on, nurse. That's correct. Diabetes mellitus. Okay? So you have your what? Diabetes what? Water is insipidus. And then you have your diabetes what? Mellitus. Does that make sense, Saints? So you have your water and your sugar, your two categories. And then now listen to this. Under each category, guess what you have? You have 4 water diabetes and 4 sugar diabetes. Isn't that amazing? And what I would like for you to do for me, I want you guys to look it up. When you go home, look it up. Look up the 4 types of sugar diabetes and the 4 types of water diabetes. Just look those up for me, please. Do you remember the format we talk about in terms of how to study a disease? First thing you're going to do is give a definition. Once you give a definition, then you can go ahead and give your ranges. Okay? So let's get a proper definition for diabetes. And here's what it says. It says here, what exactly is diabetes? What exactly is diabetes? And then here's the instructions that are given in terms of what exactly is diabetes. It says that diabetes occurs when the body becomes unable to handle glucose or sugar, which builds up to dangerous levels in the blood. A diagnosis of diabetes is usually made when the blood sugar test is consistently above 126 milligrams percent, 126 milligrams percent. But now, if you want to actually go back and find like the millimoles, if you want to actually go and find the like for example, when I was in Canada, they actually go, Doc, is it the MM? Is it what millimoles per the MM? What is it called? Millimoles. When I was in Canada, they primarily use the millimoles reading, versus here in the U.S. we can actually swing between both millimoles as well as the milligrams percent is what we tend to use. And what I found is that if you want to find out what to convert back and forth, you just either times it by 18 or divide it by 18. So if it's in millimoles, you times it by 18. If it's in the milligrams percent, the larger numbers, you just divide it by 18. Does that make sense? Let me give you a perfect example. And remember, we're teaching from the book, which one? Health Power. So watch here. If you grab your calculator, I'm going to just show you something real quick as I do this quick experiment for you real quick here. Okay, take a look right here. I'm going to do the experiment for you, and you'll see. Normal glucose level, and then I'll give you what the American Diabetic Association says. I'll give you a conservative reading, and I'll tell you what the American Diabetic Association says. Normal glucose level should be between 65 and 99 milligrams percent. What normal glucose level should be between? 65 and 99 milligrams percent. So here's what you do. You go 99 divided by 18, and that gives you 5.5. So at 5.5 and below, how far below? 65 divided by 18, that's 3.61. So from 3.61 to 5.5, guess what? That's your normal range in terms of millimoles. Okay? 3.61 to 5.5, that would be like your normal range. But if you're going to go the milligrams percent, it will be between 65 and 99. Does that make sense, Saints? Okay, does that make sense? Okay, good. Okay, and that's for normal. Now, for someone who is borderline, or some people may say pre-diabetes, that's from 100 to 125. That's from what? 100 milligrams percent to 125. So here's how you'll do that now. You go 100 divided by 18, and that gives us 5.6. 5.6. So 5.6 to, and that's 125 divided by 18 to 6.9. So 5.6 to 6.9, that would be considered what? Prediabetes or borderline. Does that make sense, Saints? Okay, so in that way you have your range between 100 to 125 or 5.6 to 6.9. It lets you know exactly where you're at. And now you go from 126 divided by 18, and that's going to give you 7. So from 7.0 and above, that would be full-blown diabetes. But what will have to happen is that the test result will have to come back at that number at least several times. It's consistently at that number, you know. So I can tell you a story. I was working with this one young lady, and she had done something called an A1C, which is the last 3 months average of her blood sugar level. And the last 3 months average had actually came back normal, okay? But within, I think within a couple weeks or a month after she had done her tests, or she had gotten her result back, I should say she had gotten her result back, her blood sugar level has spiked so high that when she went in to the doctor and they tested her, at that time she was considered a diabetic. Even though her last 3-month average said that she was normal, when she went in several weeks after the test to a regular physician, they actually diagnosed her with diabetes. And you probably say, how can that be? Well, listen good. This is going to make all the sense in the world when I share this with you. Listen to this. James Anderson, MD. Okay, and for the ones who have this book, Health Power, just turn to page 53, and you can follow me along and see where I'm at. If you have the book, Health Power, turn to page 53, and you can follow me along as I'm going along. MD, Professor of Medicine and Clinical Nutrition at the University of Kentucky College of Medicine, and a widely respected authority on diabetes, evaluated the effect of diet on blood sugar levels. Just as others had done before, Dr. Anderson was able to turn lean, healthy young individuals or young men into mild diabetics in less than 2 weeks by feeding them a rich 65% fat diet. Did you guys hear that, Saints? Moms, can you come here for a second? Come on, come on, you know you're troublesome. Amen. See, think about this. Dr. Anderson was able to take lean, healthy young individuals like moms, okay, and made them mild diabetics in less than 2 weeks. But listen what he did now. He took a similar group and fed them a lean 10% fat diet plus 1 pound of sugar a day, and did not produce even one diabetic after 11 weeks when the experiment was terminated. Thank you, Mom. So let me ask you guys a question. Based on the research, what actually caused the diabetes? That's correct. It's actually fat in the diet and fat on the body. Here, fat in the diet and fat where? On the body. So one of our goals are to reduce the amount of fat overall in the diet. Not only animal-based fat, but also what? Plant-based fat. Does that make sense? And that's why you should keep in mind, you want to eat whole plants. Eat your whole plants. Eat them whole. Try and avoid processing these whole plants as much as possible. And the reason being, the more you process these plants and you extract from them, you go into a more of a refined state. And like, for example, let's take olive, for example. Olive oil is phenomenal, and olives are phenomenal. But listen to this. For every 3,500 calories above your daily caloric intake, it adds 1 pound to you. Okay? So, you know, if you go above your daily caloric intake every day by 3,500 calories, you just go ahead and add 1 pound a day. So if you think throughout a week's time, depending on how much you add above that daily caloric intake up to 3,500, you'll go ahead and add 1 pound. So can you see, over a 52-week period, if you're exceeding your caloric intake by 3,500 calories per week, in 1 year's time, you'd have added at least 52 pounds. And you ready for this? Do you know sometimes a difference of 5 pounds can make the difference if you're diabetic or not? A difference of 5 pounds sometimes can make the difference. So it is essential and it is important for us to make sure that at all times we're managing our weight. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a little story. My waist used to be 40.5 inches. And I was saying, listen now, I'm not finished yet. You know, some people may think, Brother Luke, you're perfect. Well, absolutely not. Brother Luke has a lot of weight still to come down, you know. And I know some of you guys are like, you're kidding me. Let me share something with you. For all my life, I was solid at 175 pounds consistently. Even into my adulthood, I was at 175. Then later on, while as a corporate trainer living in a hotel, traveling from state to state, I went up to 250. And when I made the lifestyle changes, I saw the weight just come down. But I'm not finished. There's a lot more that needs to come down. And some people say, Brother, you're kidding me. You got to come down more? Yes. Because do you know that, in actuality, I read the quote to you rather than just telling you. So in that way, you can actually blame it on the quote. Listen to this. Extra weight shortens life. Every extra pound shaves 1 month from your lifespan. 60 extra pounds, in other words, can cost you 5 years. It has been proven. Do you guys know it has been proven? You remember we talked about the secrets of living longer? I'll take you to the Okinawans. If you look at the Okinawans, what do they specialize in? Eating smaller portions. Look at there, Okinawans, look right there. What is their secret? They keep lifelong friends and eat smaller portions. Do you know that they found that individuals who eat, I think it's like, is it 1/4 or 1/3 less? When you eat, in terms of, I've heard Dr. Baldwin talk, is it 1/4 less? They said whatever you eat, is it what? Eat 1/4 less, 1/3 less of what? I think, Saints, don't hold me to this one, but I think it's eat 1/4 less. Elder Parks, is it 1/4? Okay. Eat 1/4 less. And they found that individuals who eat 1/4 less, not only do they feel much better, you know, they don't eat until they're stuffed because they're not overdoing it, but they actually have a better sense of well-being.